Hi, it's Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. Week 10 of the NFL got underway last night with the Steelers putting a 52-21 beatdown on the Carolina Panthers at Heinz Field. Ben Roethlisberger had a perfect passer rating. He completed 22 of 25 throws for 328 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Raiders' Week 10 matchup will be at home against the Los Angeles Chargers. That takes place Sunday. We'll have that game for you right here on Sports 1140. Also on this radio station is tonight's Kings game. That's right, the Kings are back at the Golden One Center, hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are winless on the road this season. Our coverage of that one begins with game night at 5:30. Kings Live is at 6:30, and tip-off with the G-Man is set for 7 o'clock. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
All right. Jay Billis of ESPN is going to join us, his second visit with us, and I hope and pray and fingers crossed that if I have anything to say about it, this will be a very friendly, very jovial interview in which we will talk about college basketball and obviously the Kings and the NBA. So, a good radio host would get everybody pumped up for Jay Billis at 8:05, like it's going to be round 2 of the back and forth we had the first time. I, of course, not a good radio host, but I don't want to mislead people either. I like Jay. I like what he has to say most of the time. I want to talk to him. Sean Salisbury also making his regular 7:35 visit. All your guests brought to you on the Firewings hotline and by the Firewings hotline. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com, just wing it. And speaking of ways you can get a hold of us, 441140 is your Jiffy Lube text line, and the text line is popping. A lot of people selling their, agreeing with me on the Lakers and Warriors tickets and all that. And some people that don't understand that, but it's a pretty good conversation. We'll see. Big game tonight in the sense that they got to win this game if they want to. They may not win, but this should be on paper I don't want to say easiest win, but the most likely win of the homestand. And I say that the Lakers have not exactly been, lighting it up. But don't we all kind of know if we look beyond the Lakers smack and how much we dislike them, we kind of know. We kind of know that odds are the Lakers with LeBron James are at some point going to turn it around. I feel fairly confident in that, and they got Tyson Chandler, and he was a help. And the Wolves are 0-7 on the road. So you should probably win this ball game. And I'm looking up the odds right now just to see, according to Vegas, well, Minnesota's favored by 3.5. That's interesting to me. I actually thought that I would have flipped that line.
Wow.
I would have flipped that line. That's
really
sure that's right. Here, 7 hours ago.
Timberwolves minus 3.5.
Minus 3.5, and on this
sounds
page,
right.
And on this page, it's Timberwolves minus 3.
That sounds right to me.
You think?
No. It's still early enough in the year
right.
that the preseason projections for each team will still be taking over in terms of game outlook, and they're just trying to get equal action on both sides. I think that there is a large contingent of people that just what the?
Sorry, somebody. I'm listening to you. I'm totally with you. Somebody
Did I say something?
No. Somebody had said on the text line they were watching the live stream for the first time, and I texted them back and said, "I'm waving at you right now. Hello."
Oh, God. Okay.
Multitasking. Please continue though. No. I was listening to you.
Is to get equal action on both sides. So I think if they favored the Kings by 3 points, there would just be a disproportionate amount of money on the Timberwolves.
No, I understand. I just, if you had asked me set a line tonight, I probably would have put it at Kings minus 3. I would have flipped it.
I also think if this game happens opening night, if this is game one, I think the Timberwolves are probably favored by like 9 or 10.
I absolutely agree with you. It's just interesting to me going into a home game, especially after the Kings kept it to single digits with Toronto. The Wolves are 0-7. They on the road. They lost to the Lakers the other night. The Kings are ahead of them in the standings, and we're 11 games into the season for the Kings. Now I'm getting into jinx territory, and I really want to stop because now the Wolves.
You're
are going to blow them
confident.
out. No, I'm not. I'm not, and you'll see that in Nostradamus.
No, I'm going to see you make stuff up. And
I will say that I think if you asked me, if you told me the Kings were going to go 2-2 on this homestand, I would, without pause, say they would beat the Lakers and the Wolves.
Yeah, that's what Matt
and
I said.
And if you told me that they were going to go 1-3, I would have to think about it, and it would almost be a coin flip. But because of the Jimmy Butler situation, and he probably will play tonight, I've heard nothing to the contrary, and he did play in Los Angeles, I would probably go, nah. All right, now the Lakers have Tyson Chandler, who's not a huge deal, but they needed some help in the middle. Okay, it's LeBron in Sacramento. I'll pick the Wolves game. In other words, if you put a gun to my head, I would say the Wolves game is probably the most winnable on this trip. By the way, when the Lakers come to town, memo to fellow media, can we not ask LeBron if he gets memories when he comes to Sacramento of his? I don't think LeBron has ever visited Sacramento and not gotten that question, and he got it last year when Cleveland came here. And he was like, "Yeah, that was like 50 years ago. I don't."
Is there some significance with LeBron in Sacramento?
That's where he made his debut. No, I'm sorry.
Is because that gets brought up every
time.
Single time.
And it's fun. You know what I completely forgot about? LeBron James made his debut at Arco Arena. We know that. You know Kevin Garnett made his debut at Arco Arena too?
Yes, I learned that the other day on a broadcast.
I completely forgotten about that. And by the way, that commercial that always re-airs with Grant and Jerry and Mike Bibby, the LeBron Nike commercial, LeBron held the ball for 54 seconds. It's a garbage commercial. Did we not have a shot clock? Yeah. Did we just forget about that? Did we not have a shot clock? 54 seconds. That's more than double.
That's 2 shot clocks and a few seconds.
And if you're saying, well, Dave, editing, this, that, whatever, I also timed. Yeah, I did. I timed just the shots of LeBron holding the ball, just in case you want to say, well, when the camera wasn't on him, that didn't count.
Right.
That was at 37 seconds.
This is outrageous that you would do that.
Why? Oh, well, the last time Pittsburgh scored 52 points in a game, Cap Walker played for them in 1923, and Franklin Roosevelt was the president or whatever. You come up with your own research stats all the time on Twitter that you do the research on, and you go back and you tweet out. I timed a commercial. So let's just not get, all high and mighty on your throne of stats, guy.
You think my issue there was your statistic?
Oh, what was your issue?
The fact that you sat there and were like, I'm calling bull on this fake commercial. Let me time this real quick.
Well, I'm just saying it's not that far removed from, hey, I'm watching this football game. I'm going to be my own internal ESPN stats and info, do the research. It's a very valuable stat you put out. Don't get me wrong. I like the tweets that you put out. But I'm saying you take a lot of time and put in a lot of effort a lot of times to come up with these stats.
Takes me 30 seconds to get this.
No, not for everyone.
It takes me less time. It takes me less time to get those than LeBron held the ball in that Mike Bibby, Grant and Jerry commercial.
I need to address something on the text line too, Kyle. And
Can you do it in 1 minute?
I can.
Okay.
I appreciate and understand my fellow Kings fans taking joy in that Bucks-Warriors game last night, as I did. I watched the whole thing as much as I could. Stop writing things down. And I loved it. I loved seeing the Warriors get their ass beat at home. I did. I enjoyed it.
Wow, you like seeing Steph Curry get injured. Classless.
Anyways, I learned the difference between an adductor and abductor muscle. And knock on wood, I'm fun with the Warriors, but of course we never want anybody to stay injured, so we'll see. He's having an MRI today. I enjoyed it. But here's me putting the needle in the balloon, it meant absolutely nothing. Yeah. They didn't have Draymond Green, and they didn't have DeMarcus Cousins. And Steph Curry left hurt. Now,
Kevin Durant played his worst game of the year.
Had Steph Curry kept playing and had Kevin Durant played a little bit, it was still a giant blowout. They weren't going to win. And props to the Bucks. Yep. But let's not mistake. Please stop with the hot takes that I'm going to see today. Are the Milwaukee Bucks a real threat to the Warriors? Let me be clear again. The only threat to the Warriors is injury.
Well, no, the Bucks, you'll remember, ended the Warriors' 24-game winning streak.
I do remember that.
And then nearly beat them at home later on that year.
Sure.
The Bucks give the Warriors problems the same reason they give everybody problems, because of their length and because of Giannis.
Uh-huh.
But like you said, effectively in a 7-game series when the Warriors have time to figure it out when they're trying, it's
no chance if they're healthy. No chance if they're healthy. There is not a team in the NBA that has a chance against the Warriors if they are healthy, because they are the greatest team ever assembled. So,
However,
last night, that was awesome.
Giannis was excellent.
Dude, last night the Warriors got punked.
Yeah.
I mean, punked. Dunked on, shots blocked into the crowd.
John Henson launched Kevin Durant's shot into the third row.
It ended up on my doorstep. Like I was watching TV. I heard a thunk on my door. I opened the door. It was an NBA regulation basketball.
And John Henson was like, "Can I get that?
Can I get that back?" No, I kept it, and I'm going to sell it at the auction with Tim Brown's Heisman Trophy. 4 Down Territory is next. Don't go away. Stick around. It's going to be fun and exciting. Sports 1140 KHCK. You get out of here, hot takers, with the 0-1 Lakers would beat the Warriors. Please get all the way out. Close the door behind you and go play golf. Right, Kyle?
Yeah, dude, nice.
I don't like defending please don't put me in a position where I have to talk up the Warriors. Please.
Also, pitting teams against each other that played 17 years apart is a pretty useless exercise.
Yeah, well, you're just cutting out like 80% of the greatest sports debates ever.
Yeah, exactly. I don't do debates. I don't do predictions.
Oh, right.
I do facts.
Let's just see what happens. 4 Down Territory. 4 Down Territory brought to you by Fire Wings.
That's who it is.
21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com, just wing it. Hey, Kyle.
My favorite wing place.
Oh, mine too. First down, would you?
Who needs a win the most this weekend?
I can't answer that question right now. Let's wait till the end of the year and then look at it.
Yeah, I think so.
That's
who
just
needs, who needs to win the most this weekend? Every team, because that's the goal every week.
Every single one. We'll just do the rest of the show like that. No predictions. No. Who needs to win? I don't know. Everyone. Who needs to win the most?
I'll tell you who needs to win the most. The Panthers, because they already lost.
Oh!
Okay, go ahead.
I'm stealing this from the text line, but why? Because they played at Heinz Field where they couldn't catch up?
That's good.
Yeah.
Shout out text line.
I thought of it. Just kidding. Like, completely, I thought of it. Who needs to win the most this weekend? Let me throw you some teams. Tell you what, Kyle, let's tandem this. I'm going to throw you multiple choices. You pick the one, okay?
Okay.
Bears are hosting the Lions. The Bears are 5-3.
No.
No. Let's see.
That division's not that good.
Falcons go to Cleveland, take on the Browns.
The Falcons need a win.
If they're going to make a comeback, and they're especially in that division that has that talent.
Yep.
Can I say your Titans need a win?
Yeah, they need a win.
Okay. I mean, they're hosting the Patriots. They're not going to get it. Have we given up on the Jaguars? They're 3-5. They go to Indianapolis.
I'm done with the Jags.
You're done?
They stink.
I mean, they need a win.
The Colts are favored by 3 in that game, which is not a thing I would have guessed prior to the season.
But Redskins visit the Buccaneers after last week. I think the Redskins absolutely need a win.
All of the entire NFC East, except the Giants.
The team I'm going to pick, though, I will pick this weekend that needs a win the most is going to be the Green Bay Packers. They are 3-4. They host the Dolphins, and that schedule gets not at all easier for the Packers. It's Aaron Rodgers. You want him in the playoffs if you're an NFL fan, unless you're a Bears fan or a Vikings fan. But you want to see that. They're 3-4-1. They got to right now their max win total is what, 11? They've got to get, because they're not running the table. They're not running the table this year. This isn't going to be one of those Aaron Rodgers relax years. So I'm going to put my finger on the Packers.
I'm going to go with, where are we at here? I'm going to go with oh my gosh, I just lost what I was doing.
Okay, good job.
Excellent. Hey,
Yeah,
you know
thanks.
what? Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? Every team needs to win this week.
Okay.
Because that's
Second
no,
down.
I think all the 4-4 teams.
Okay.
Anyone who's 4-4 needs to win.
Second down.
Jeez Louise, Kyle.
That's awesome.
The Bengals. That's what I was looking at because the AFC North is still winnable.
Gotcha.
What is your game of the weekend?
Shush. That's my game of the weekend. Ugh. A crappy weekend. It really is. I should say Saints and Bengals, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go with an NFC East matchup. Let's go Cowboys and Eagles. The Cowboys are reeling. They got Amari Cooper. They go on the road to take on Philadelphia. Philly, Washington, even the Cowboys. Cowboys are 3-5. They're not out of it, but they better start right now. And I love those NFC East rivalry matchups, especially when it starts getting colder. I'm gonna watch that game.
I'm out on the NFC East this year.
Yeah.
I'm sick of them. I think New Orleans Cincinnati is going to be a fascinating game because Drew Brees, his passer rating in his career indoors is 103.8. Outdoors, it's 91. So I think, again, not bad, but significantly worse than he is indoors. So I think that could be a really good game.
Got on me for timing the LeBron commercial, but you've got those numbers in front of you. Did you do that research yourself?
Yeah, it's on NinersWire.com.
Look at that.
Rams Seahawks is my game of the weekend, though. I think that's going to be a ton of fun because you've got a desperate Seahawks team that's in a must-win situation if they want to hang on to their playoff spot. And then you've got a Rams team coming off their first loss and looking to get back in the win column. So I think we're going to get a really, really high-level football game there.
Third down.
Third down.
Is this the worst weekend of matchups this year so far?
I haven't looked at every single matchup.
Oh, I have.
So for all year, I haven't gone back, but I will tell you this: counting last night, there are two games matching up teams that have better than 500 records.
Oh,
2 total, and the other one is the Saints and Bengals. Every other game is either matching up teams below 500 or a team that's above 500 and a 500 team. This is it. This is not a great weekend on paper for the NFL.
you can often tell by the point spreads how good matchups are.
Uh-huh.
Can I read you some point spreads for this week?
Please do.
7, 5.5, 5.5, 3, 6.5, 9.5,
Get
3,
to it.
6.5, 10, 9.5, 7, 3, 16.5.
That's Chiefs Cardinals.
That was at 18. Just a lot of big point spreads this week, and all the ones that are low, all the low point spreads are your Colts Jaguars, your Niners Giants. I did a thing in my picks this week on Niners Wire where I said I'm going to do one reason to watch each game. Bad week to start doing that because there were a lot of games. It's like, man, this is just I care not a lick about this one.
The Thursday night and Monday night football matchups have 4 teams with a combined record of 10-23. Cowboys, Eagles, followed by Giants, Niners. Watch. The games will all be super fun. And we'll be talking. No one's saying the games won't be fun. Of course there will be some great games.
There's a difference between a close game and a good game, though.
Right. This is just bad matchup. Last weekend might have been the best matchup. Yeah. We got the Pats and
Packers,
and we got the Rams and Saints.
Yeah, we had some good games last weekend.
This week we're paying for it. 4th down.
Do you have a question in mind?
I do.
Oh, okay, cool.
I do.
Because I had one too.
Oh, then go ahead by all means.
And mine's not. Is yours football? Mine's not football.
Okay, then you ask yours.
Okay, fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter.
Fourth down.
Fourth down. Oh, fourth quarter.
What's the Kings' record when we come back on Monday?
Oh, dude, don't know. Come on, really? I was not prepared for this. They play the Timberwolves tonight. Then they play the Lakers. And then they play So we're going to have 2 games. I'm going to say the Kings are 7-6. I'm going to say they split these games.
Okay. I won't make you specifically pick which ones.
I will though.
Okay.
I'm going to say they beat Minnesota and lose to the Lakers, which means they will either lose to Minnesota and beat the Lakers or lose to both teams.
Okay.
Or beat both teams. But it won't be what I've said.
Hey, let's just wait and see.
Yeah, let's just wait and see. All right, my question.
What was your question?
Was Eric Reed's hit on Ben Roethlisberger dirty?
I don't think it was dirty, but it was definitely illegal. I don't think he flew in meaning to hit his head, but he hit a sliding quarterback up high in the head. That's going to get you ejected.
I think his hit was, when I first saw it, I was really mad at Eric Reed. I thought it was a Bush League play. I've backed off a tiny bit. I don't think it was dirty. I think it was dirt, but not E. Dirt,
but it was a little bit of a late slide, and you can see him gathering to lower a hit.
It was a late slide.
And like I said, by letter of the law, he needs to be ejected for that.
Right.
He hit the quarterback in the head directly with his shoulder.
Right.
And you're supposed to be not actual malice, but you're supposed to determine whether he was trying to do that. I don't think he was, but by letter of the law, he should have been ejected. And I mean, that's just the NFL now. I personally wouldn't have done it, but
right.
That's where we're at.
From the 916. Good morning, Dave. Ask Jay Billis if he's ever been wrong about anything. Number 2, ask Jay Billis to comment about being ranked the 4th most biased sports personality by rantsports.com. Number 3, get him, Dave. That's not going to be this interview.
Get him, Dave.
Right? Everyone's all fired up. I don't know how much, because I don't want to see the text, Kyle, after we hang up with Jay Billis. Like, well, that was a disappointment. It's not what, come on. What, you're not going to ask? No. I'm bringing Jay on, who does not get paid to come on the show, is nice enough to come on after our round last time. I'm not doing that. I like his commentary usually, and I want to talk to him about college basketball, and yes, we'll talk about the Kings. This is not going to be, unless Jay's got an agenda that I don't know about, and I don't think he does, this is just going to be a friendly chat.
That would be so funny.
If he just comes on and gets red, just goes for it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, Dave, what's up? Dysfunctional. You still want to argue about it? What's up? I'd be like,
that would, God, I know that's not going to happen, but I want it to.
Yeah, I'm not prepared for that. So
I want
it
him
won't
to
look
just
good.
come out hot.
I'll just hang up. I'm not prepared for it.
The only team that's ever been excited about 6 and freaking 5.
All right. There's another SAT word, Dave. I got an SAT word for you. Loser.
No, I'm really excited to talk to him because I know we don't want to talk that much about college basketball, but I really want to ask him about this Duke team
should.
because
I wonder if he's watched any Duke basketball this year.
Hey, you paid attention?
Sean Salisbury will join us next. We'll talk to him about his big sports weekend last weekend. It's the Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK. Sean Salisbury will join us in a minute. Was last night's game the second for Eric Reed, Kyle, with the Carolina Panthers?
Second or third? Because he had the game against the Eagles, the game against the Ravens.
Okay, so it's third.
I think there was one more in there, but yeah.
He got his 5th drug test after last night's game.
Jeez.
5th random drug test after last night's game. I'm not saying nothing, but no, I'm really not. I'm not even trying to do the thing where I say something and don't say it just to start a controversy. But just doesn't that seem weird for anyone? I'm not trying to get into the kneeling and the.
No, right.
That just seems a little excessive.
5 random drug tests. The thing about it is they're supposed to be random. There's no way they have a random, they assign a player, a number to each player, and then click a random generator, and they're like, oh, it's going to be Vince Williams of the Steelers this week. No, they are singling out, and I doubt it's just Eric Reed. That's just who we heard about.
Sure.
There was, who was it? There's a kicker last year? Or was it Phil Dawson for the Niners? Somebody kicked 5 field goals in a game. Uh-huh. And then got randomly drug tested, quote unquote.
Well, former punter Pat McAtee made waves saying, after he kicked a 60-yard punt, he kicked a 60-yard punt one week and got a drug test that night. It's interesting. I want to get to this before Sean comes on just real quick. The Kings announced they filed an application with the city to rezone that 183-acre site where the old Arco Arena is at, one of which could be a zoo, which the Sacramento Zoo officials are fans of. The application didn't offer any details on what may go on the site, but includes zoning for a possibility of 1.2 million square feet of commercial and retail, as well as employment and or office sites. And notably up to 2,000 housing units. They'll do an environmental review process over the next year, have the land hopefully ready for development over the next year. One thing I want to get into at a different date is when they redo all this stuff that's going to create new streets, can we please name the streets after ex-Kings? Doesn't that make sense? Can we have Pollard Place, J. Will Boulevard, Weber Way? Can we please do that? It's so obvious. It's too obvious. Just name them after ex-Kings, dude.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Joining us right now on the Firewings hotline, 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com, just wing it. He has a beautiful, wonderful radio show in Houston, Texas that does quite well. I was looking at the ratings the other day, and they're killing it. He is also Sean Unfiltered on Twitter, and hopefully has recovered from his weekend, of which he had fun, and I am jealous. I wish I was there. Sean Salisbury with us. Hey, buddy.
Hey, man, good to be with you. You could on my new podcast. We got about 8 episodes up. Is at Sean Unfiltered, not at Sean. It's Sean Unfiltered on iHeart, the radio app, or on 790 sports790.com. iHeart radio app, sports790.com. There's about 8 of them up, and if you like Unfiltered regular, wait till you can see Unfiltered, really Unfiltered. So it's on there. Have a little fun, and thank you for having me on. And we're blessed with those ratings, man. We've only been on the air 3 months. In September and October, we won. So I'm not a big ratings guy. I know it matters to everybody, but I've always believed if the listeners love you and you're doing good radio, they'll sell it and life's good. So revenue and good fans, that's all that matters. But thank you for the compliment.
I'm pausing here. I'm trying to imagine what you would sound like in a podcast format. And is it safe to say, Sean, this is the second best podcast you've ever done?
Probably, yeah, without question. Yeah, second for sure. Maybe even the third. There's only one at the top. We know that. And you could imagine, as you know, that this will be things you may not be able to say on the radio. You can say on a podcast. It'll be all right there. So, it's a good 45, 50 minutes of time. I'll do another one today. We do about 2 a week, so it's fun. But I appreciate it. And it was a great weekend last week, and other than the LSU result, but it's good to be with you as always, brother.
Let me just finish that. I'm sure 98% of the listeners get that, but Sean and I did a podcast together for quite a while, and I will back Sean up on this. Not that he needs me to back him up. Sean on the radio, on the real radio, quote unquote, is a thing to behold. Sean on a podcast, when there's no censor and there's no reins, there's nothing holding him down. I can attest from personal experience. I think Sean and I, as we did anywhere from an hour to 2 hours every day, Sean would come on, and sometimes I think Sean sometimes it would be very poignant. I think we had about an hour and a half conversation about your dad passing one time, and we had a conversation about your struggles with painkillers and sitting alone in a room, and all the horrors that you went through after your NFL career. And then sometimes it's just the funniest stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with sports. So I don't know if it's the same type of format, because we weren't, I wasn't very professional, and obviously you're working with professionals right now, but I would imagine it's quite entertaining.
Well, yeah, it is. And Dave, that's what a podcast is.
Yep.
It's a different platform of radio where they hear this. A lot of times people go on, your show's unique. I like to think mine is too, but you could go on 80% of the shows across the country get the same thing. Well, stats, and here's what the backup tackle for the Pittsburgh State, and there's some really great talented people, don't misunderstand me, but a podcast is just like people would imagine, sitting around and talking, and there's really we're not taking commercials, and we're just talking, and sometimes you're all over the map talking about movies, sometimes it's hardcore football, sometimes we're talking hardcore hoops, and the last one was a lot about Zion Williamson and Duke, and how I think that they've got a chance. Now, it's going to be tough, but this team's so loaded, they could be undefeated, and, there's a few F-bombs dropped, and a lot of things, and talking about contract holdouts. So how it is, man. It goes it's just really you put things down, but a podcast can go a whole bunch of different ways, and I think those are good podcasts. I think structured, like where it's this every. Now there's certain staples like a raft that I'll have every podcast, but other than that, I think you find your way on it, and people's response will tell you how good it is and what they like and what they don't. But that's what podcasts are for, not to be normal radio. And if they're normal, I'm out. I got to start being normal. I'm the wrong guy to call for a podcast.
Sports790.com and the iHeartMedia app, as Sean mentioned earlier, and we're happy to plug that podcast. And I will
thanks, brother.
subscribe, as you should too. Sean, I was thinking of you last weekend. I was watching NFL Game Day, and it was live. I believe they were in the French Quarter in New Orleans. Before the Saints and Rams game. And I was thinking of how jealous I was of you. New Orleans is my favorite city in America to visit. And with the LSU game going on there, the Saints and Rams game, I know you were there, and you texted me over the weekend. You were there just as a fan having fun. That had to be a freaking blast.
It was. Well, the Sunday game first was obviously you saw all the hype that lives up to it. I mean, back and forth, a big lead, and then the Rams get back into it to show you why those two teams, there's a good chance they'll be playing again at some point in January. So fun to watch, and Drew Brees continues his assault on completion percentage and continues to play better. These old quarterbacks in the league are nothing short of phenomenal. What he's doing and what he did in that game and what he continues to do, that's not normal, man. I know guys, and I'm being serious when I say this, dude, that I could take an NFL quarterback out tomorrow, and there's some that won't complete 75% versus air on 50 throws. I'm dead serious. You throw a deep ball, may land out of bounds. They won't complete 75% on air. The dude's completing 78%, close to it, against 11 on 11. I mean, his assault on a record every year is amazing, and they're really good, and their defense is coming to form. But that was an incredible experience right there, in New Orleans. And then the day before in Baton Rouge, as good at tailgating and as good at passionate fans and as tough a venue to play in as there is in the country. If you hate college football, which I can't imagine a lot do, but if you hate LSU, any of it, you got to put it on your bucket list. Like if you hate the Red Sox, you got to go to Fenway Park.
Right.
If you hate the Cubs, you got to go to Wrigley Field. If you don't like Kansas basketball, but you're a college hoops fan, you got to get to Allen Fieldhouse. These places I've been, I'm telling you. You got to go to a night game in Baton Rouge with your buddies or your wife or your significant other. You got to get there early. You got to tailgate. And you got to have a blast. It's as fun a time as you'll ever have. And then I was on the sidelines for the game, and in about 12 minutes, Alabama takes the fun out of every home crowd. They didn't play good football. Defensively, they did. Offensively, they were okay. They put up a lot of numbers. But 29-0. Tua had his worst game. I think he's the best player in the country. He's Alabama's best player. They won 29-0. I'm telling you now, if they play their best football, there's nobody that can get within 2 touchdowns of them. They are a phenomenal machine to watch. And now they have the quarterback to do it. Somebody's going to have to play awful special. And Clemson's great. Michigan's great. I know how good they are. If everybody plays their best football and Alabama plays their best football, you're not getting within 2 touchdowns of them. They're that good. It was a pleasure to be there for the game and watch it, but They'll put an ass kicking on you faster than you can snap your head around, man. It's incredible.
Sean Salisbury with us. Sean, and this will be embarrassing if you disagree with me, but I'm just going to bet you won't. With Duke very early being so dominant over Kentucky, with Alabama once again being so dominant, can you help me? I truly think the stupidest sports argument in history is the one that pops up every time we have a dominant college team. Could XYZ dominant college team hang with XYZ crappy NBA or NFL team? And I've never understood it. I still don't understand it. Am I wrong, Sean, talking to a guy who's played both high-level college and, of course, NFL football, that especially in the cases of basketball and football, it would be like the USA versus Angola in the Olympics?
Right, yes. It's hyperbole, brother.
Yeah.
That's why people do it. It's for banter on a radio show or some first take talk.
It's dumb.
No. You put it there. Who's the worst team in the NBA right now? I'm just trying to think. Who's got the worst record?
In the NBA?
Exactly. Good. Yeah, who's the worst record right now?
The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay, the Cavs. The Cavs would – now, here's the only difference in basketball and football. With basketball, let's say Zion Williamson. Mm-hmm. If Zion Williamson was playing for Cleveland right now, he'd probably be their leading scorer.
Sure.
it's the great equalizer when you got that dude and a couple of those guys that really Williamson's not going to get any better in college. He should be allowed to go play in the NBA without the rule, free enterprise. The truth is his game would expand more NBA-wise. He's going to go dominate and be a great player and be gone at the end of the year. But he's an NBA guy. He's like a rookie all-star type. We've seen it. I mean, so when you got four of those guys, they may be able to keep it a little closer because those guys go and play each other in the gym in the off-season. There's not a guy in Cleveland that's more gifted than Zion Williamson right now. So basketball, it's a little bit equalized, but Cleveland's still beating Duke. Make no mistake about it. Make zero mistake about it. When it comes to football, a little more grown-ass man when it comes to the physical and the physical contact. I would say the Raiders, maybe, right now, as bad as it gets, the way they're playing. The Raiders would beat Alabama by 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
They would friggin' destroy them. What it is when you play in college football, now Alabama's different because they got a lot of first-round picks. But college football each week, like when at SC, if I'm playing Arizona, I'll play against 2 guys or 3 guys max on defense that may be in the NFL. One may be a star, one may be average, one may get cut. When you're playing against the NFL, all those dudes were All-Americans play. You're playing against 11 grown men every time. Alabama would stand. They'd be 3 touchdown underdogs minimum and would have 0 shot. They'd get destroyed physically. They'd have no shot to beat the Raiders. They'd pound them. In basketball, I could see it being a little closer, but when it comes to the maturity and running through picks and doing all the things and switching, just the moxie of an NBA team would win. Now, if you put Duke up against a good team like Golden State, they'd beat them by 60. They'd destroy them.
And I'm with you on. I'm sorry, Sean. I was going to say I'm with you on the basketball too. That it would probably be closer, but I'll go back to the point you made, which I think is the end all of this conversation, which is Duke might have 4, maybe 5 guys that will be in the NBA, and 1 or 2 of those guys might get a cup of coffee. Cleveland, literally 100% of the roster of Cleveland made the NBA.
That's exactly right, and that's what people don't realize. And as good as Williamson may go get 40 or 35,
sure.
But they're going to lose by 30. So that's the thing that people don't get is when even when the female thing. I asked Sue Bird this years ago, the great Sue Bird, and I have so much. I played at SC when the McGee twins, Paul and Pam, and Cheryl Miller and Cynthia Cooper. You think they were any good? They were UConn before UConn.
Yeah,
they didn't have that as long a run, but. I asked Sue Bird this one time. I said, "What would happen?" I said, "I have so much respect for you guys. But what would happen if you played?" I said, "If you played a top high school basketball team, men's team, what would happen?" She says they'd beat us by 50, 40, because they play above the rim.
Yep.
I mean, fundamentally, at the free throw line shooting, those gals can do it. But you're talking about these dudes that can dunk on an 11-foot basket, and that would be the difference. And she said, "We're good, and we'd make some points, but they just play above the rim. It's a different game." And it's the same with this in a different way, but. Those guys, you got 12 NBA dudes in Cleveland, and in football, those 53 of those guys played in college and were the guy you said, "Oh man, that guy's a hell of a player on Saturday," and you played against him, and you get 2 or 3 of those guys. This way, 11 of them. Alabama would stand 0 shot, and it wouldn't be close. Matter of fact, take the over when it came to, or take the point spread times 2, because the Raiders were beating Alabama 51-3. They'd score. Possibly with the Tua because he's an NFL guy, but it wouldn't be close. They'd destroy him.
Sean Salisbury joining us. Sean, before you came on, I was talking about Eric Reed, who played in his 3rd game for the Panthers last night. He was saying after the game that he was getting his 5th random drug test. Now, I'm not trying to get into the kneeling, and I'm not trying to get into any of that. I simply want to ask you, when you played, I'm sure the policy was different. How often do you remember?
No, it was random.
Was it random? Does
Does
that seem?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I know where you're going. Does that seem? Eric Reed's reaching to think that they've targeted him and the rest of it. As a quarterback, when I was in Minnesota one year, I think I got tested 9 times in 18 weeks. Okay, it's like every other week I was getting tested. I didn't do a steroid in my life. I mean, I played quarterback. I'm not like. I didn't gain 40 pounds as a lineman. That's a major reach, and not by you, by him. This conspiracy theory that the NFL's out to get Eric Reed, I don't know about the kneeling. That's for them to decide.
Sure.
But when it comes to drug testing, random, there ain't no conspiracy. The guy said, "Let's get Eric again. Let's get it." I ain't buying it. I like the guy. He's a good football player. If he wants to complain about the hit last night that he shouldn't get kicked out, couldn't agree more with him. I don't think the intent was to hurt him. He apologized to Ben. I get that he had personal foul. I don't think that required to be kicked out of the game. But the drug testing, he's barking up a tree that nobody should pay 1 ounce attention to, because I got tested far more than he did as a quarterback in the NFL when I was in Minnesota randomly. They put it in. Sometimes you go 3 weeks in a row. Sometimes the luck of the draw, brother. It's like pulling the numbers out of a Powerball. Okay, once in a while you'll hit a number 3 times in a row. Nah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm not even letting you finish that sentence about, whoa, I've been tested 5 times. Do we need to go down and test and go to every team when some guy says, well, I've been 4, I've been 7, I'm telling you, that almost half the season I was tested one year in Minnesota for no reason other than it was random, just like theirs is, and it's a random draw. Unless they've lied to all of us, and it's no random draw for anybody. But other random thing, he's barking up a tree that I guarantee doesn't exist. This conspiracy stuff we got going on in society about everything, it's tiring, it's tired, it's old, and quite frankly, because of what's happened to him in his off season, that you can't carry that over into everything. I don't buy it. I don't believe the NFL's got it in on drug tests for Eric Reed. I ain't buying it for 1 second.
There's 2 more minutes left for a 20-minute conversation here, but I do want to ask you, and people who've never heard Sean before knows there's literally nothing you cannot ask him. He won't give you an honest answer with. Obviously, I've never asked you to name names, but I am curious. When you played, were there drugs, even if we're talking about marijuana or pills, were there drugs that were done that you knew about? And was it a rampant thing? Did these guys know when was there ways around the tests, or was that something you heard of but never really saw?
Well, see, here's the deal. Before the season, you take that's your overall test. That's the test. That's the test. Unless you come into the league as a probable cause guy, and you're in the system from college. Mm-hmm. When you came into the league, the night we get into training camp, the very next morning, we took the full drug test, and a guy would stand 2 seconds from your pecker. Two inches from your pecker in every stall. You didn't get to go in the stall private. He'd walk in there with you, watch you damn near hold it for you. Mm. You pee into the cup, and it was your first wake up call. You'd check in at night the one day. The very next morning, we were taking a drug test from Smith, Klein, and Beecham, whoever it was. And I'm literally telling you, his eyes are about 4 inches. It feels that way. Wow. From your Johnson, okay?
Right.
And then you'd go to the restroom, hand him the cup, go out, and that was for all the stuff. Meaning, if you smoked weed, then you better have quit 30 days before. Whatever you did, whatever. If you did, that was for recreational drugs. One time a year. Now, if you're a probable cause guy and you've been in the system, then they go through. They'll test you more. You're under a different system than the rest, and then you don't get tested for marijuana again the whole year. And at no other time, unless it's the new CBA, and I haven't looked at the most recent one, they never test you again. So if you and I know a guy, the second that drug test was over, was smoking a joint within an hour.
Sure. Because
he knew he wasn't getting tested again. Now, as far as the PEDs, that's random. Can come at any point in time. So if you just did a cycle, and I didn't. Now, pre-testing, I helped the guy. I watched a teammate of mine and helped him give himself a shot in his ass and his hip because he needed to gain weight to make a team.
Sure.
This was pre-drug testing when I broke into the league in the NFL. So, yes, steroids were prevalent then. But once I was in the league, at no time did I see a guy. Now, they may have been doing it, masking, I don't know. But it's probably not as common as they think. And there's some that know a way around. I guess if you got money, you can find a mask anything. But during the season, if you decided that you want to take a steroid shot on a Wednesday and they ran a test you on a Friday, you're pretty hosed or stupid, one of the two. So, yes, I've seen it, but that was pre-testing. And the recreational drugs are before, not during, unless you're a probable cause and they're in the system. But I'm not buying, like I said, I like Eric. I thought last night was Bush League kicking him out. I like what he stands for. I like the fact that he stands for something in the process of kneeling and that he believes in something. But I'm not buying for 1 second like I didn't even see the story this morning. Right when you started, I knew where you were going.
Yep.
I ain't buying it. The random tests, the testing's got it in for him. Tell his ass to get in line, because I've been there too, and I didn't all of a sudden think, that pisses you off, like, again? But I had nothing to hide, so who cares? And if you got nothing to hide, what's the big deal? You're taking 10 minutes out of your day to go pee in a cup before practice? Deal with it. Nothing to hide. It's called getting paid all that big money you get paid, brother. We all got it. It's the way we work, man. And you got to deal with it. There's no conspiracy theory to over drug test Eric Reed.
Sports Talk 790 is the home of the Sean Salisbury Show. You can follow Sean at Sean Unfiltered, and also, as Sean mentioned at the beginning of our conversation. Check out his podcast. I've done a podcast with Sean. It's my favorite Sean. No offense to the phones or his show or my show, but Sean Unfiltered is the best, Sean. And you can go to the Sports Talk 790.com.
Sports790.com or the iHeartRadio app.
Sports790.com or the iHeartRadio app. Apologies, Sean. Want to get that plug in there because that is awesome. Make sure you subscribe there. And Sean, you're always the best. We'll talk to you next week, and drink a lot of fluids this week. Keep recovering.
Always, brother. Thank you. I got to mask my steroid use.
Take care.
See you, bud. I'll talk to you.
All right. See you. Sean and his radio steroids. That's why he's so good. Take a break. When we come back, Jay Billis will join us. And we will talk college basketball with him. Obviously, we're going to talk about Duke and their performance against Kentucky, the outlook on the season. And, yeah, we'll talk a little NBA, and I might sneak in a couple questions about your Sacramento Kings. It's The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK.